Good afternoon, families. My name is Kamala. I'm the Associate Dean of Students and the Director of the Office of Student Engagement. We are looking forward to our session today on homesickness and first-year transition. I'm joining up here by colleague and friend, Sue Burge, who will have introduced herself.
Yes, hi, I'm Susan Burge, and I'm an Assistant Vice President at Fairfield University, and I'm also the Director of Counseling and Psychological Services, and I also work very closely with the Student Health Center, so I'll be able to give you some background about both of those services shortly.
So today our plan is to review issues that our first-year students face when it comes to adjustment to college, strategies for families to utilize. We'll share with you some resources, upcoming events, and obviously open it up for an open forum Q&A type. We're joined in the background by Elizabeth Elliott, who's a program coordinator in the Office of Student Engagement, so she will be fielding us questions when we get to the Q&A section.
So we're going to start by just looking at the different kinds of adjustments, giving you a sense of what students who leave home and go off to college might experience. And I want to preface this by saying that it's very normal for young men and women who leave home to feel periods of sadness and maybe feel some sense of disconnectedness, maybe some frustration, maybe even feeling a loss of confidence. That's normal. What we're talking about with homesickness is more prolonged, meaning it's like a sense of loss. It's a sense of not feeling the confidence in themselves that they can navigate and adjust to this new environment. In terms of the social issues that may manifest, again, for a young person going to college, you know, as human beings, we have such a need to have a sense of belonging, to feel like we fit in, that we're accepted, that we're liked. And it's very difficult to pull that together in a short period of time when you're in a brand new environment with mostly people who you have not met. The reality is that takes time to develop relationships. And so that uncomfortability initially can feel very awkward and feel very lonely. Sometimes we have our students assuming that they don't fit in, and so rather than continuing to expose themselves to social situations, they actually withdraw. And so that's problematic. We also have some students who very much want to fit in, and they perceive that the best way to do that is by drinking with other students. And again, you can understand they want to fit in, they want to belong. Okay, well, if they're doing some beers or some shots, maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I'm not crazy about the idea, but I might do it because those social needs are so important to me. So we see some of that manifest as well. Time management is an issue that also can require some transition and adjustment. We have to understand that these students, our students in college, have been experiencing a lot of structure in the past, whether it was at home, coming home and having to do homework, whether it was going to different practices for sports, whether or not it was in school, which they might have had study hall in which to get assignments done. And all of a sudden, here they are with very little structure and living independently. So getting up for time, so creating a calendar of a to-do list and when assignments are due and how much time they're going to take. For many of our students, this is a new experience. Again, this can take some getting used to, and it's going to take a little bit of time. In terms of coping with stress, what we've realized is that those students who come to college that have actually had some opportunities to work through maybe some difficulties, maybe some frustrations, and maybe some disappointments, have kind of developed some coping strategies. One strategy might be that they say to themselves, I can get through this. I don't like this, but it won't kill me. I haven't gotten what I wanted before, but I can work through it. I can improve. I'll figure it out. That kind of sense of confidence, self-efficacy, we call it resilience, meaning kind of a sense of grit. I can do it. It won't kill me. It might be uncomfortable, but I'll get through it. So some of our students come with that kind of a grit, kind of an attitude. Others can take some even minor failures and be very disappointed. and maybe feel overwhelmed and defeated. So what we try to do with Kamala's office, counseling, all the different support services on campus is try to help students understand that getting a C, not getting along with your roommate, not getting on a team or part of a club isn't anything that defines you. Rather look at other options and develop these coping strategies. It can also, meaning transition, can manifest with roommate difficulties. For many of our students, they have actually had their own room. And maybe they haven't been to camp. Maybe they haven't had opportunities to figure out how to live with another person. Maybe somebody's very messy, maybe somebody's very neat, maybe somebody stays up late, somebody gets up very early. These are things that have to be navigated. And the success of this very much depends on our students' ability to communicate. If they're going to tell their parents, they're not talking to the person with whom they're having the problem. So what we encourage at Fairfield University, and most colleges and universities do, is to work it out with the person. This can be uncomfortable. That's why we have residence life staff. That's why we have the engagement staff there to assist. How do you mediate? How do you navigate these interpersonal relationships where you might not be best friends? That's okay. But can you figure out how to respect each other and how to live together? Another area where we might see some transition issues is academic adjustments. If your son or daughter got into Fairfield University, they belong here academically. But they may have been at the top of their class. They may have been in a very small school and had a very different environment. Now they're at Fairfield University, a big university in terms of maybe what they were used to, and classes and professors are much more rigorous. Some students are going to be much brighter, and there will be some students that are going to struggle more. However, it can change one's perception as to whether or not how I fit in this. And again, depending on confidence, how am I going to do? Can I make it here? Am I smart enough? The important thing to remember as a parent is that these are normal reactions. And so the university has a whole system of academic and personal support for the student. What we like to do in our areas, Kamala and Residence Life and myself, is encourage students to ask for help, to utilize all the resources that we have. This is what adults do. If we don't feel good, if we need help, if we need assistance, we speak up and we ask for it. And we're trying to get our students to understand. If you're struggling in a class, get tutoring. Go to our academic support areas. Again, deal directly with your professor. Tell him or her, I'm really not sure if I'm getting this. Is there something you can advise me to do or not to do? So engaging in what we call help-seeking behavior is something we do, and we would very much appreciate your partnership in that. If they're talking to you, remember, that's great. They're venting. I bet you've got lots of good guidance. But it might not be helping them to figure out how to navigate this and to importantly then develop the self-confidence that, oh, I got through that. That was tough. That was uncomfortable, but I got through that. So that's a sense of the kind of adjustments that we're aware of and, in fact, that we're prepared to encourage and work with your sons and daughters. Now, in order to understand this whole notion of transition, of adjustment, we kind of loosely call homesickness, I want to look at this graphic, and this is called a circle of security. This was put together by Ken Hoffman, and it really gives us a visual for what it's like developmentally for the 17, 18, 19-year-old young adult to leave home, to transition to a new environment. The person who is known for attachment theory is a psychiatrist named Bowlby. And Bowlby was a British psychiatrist, and he was the one that studied attachment theory. This was the bond that he studied between the mother and the infant. that bond. Now, what we've learned since then, in fact, is that it doesn't have to be the mother, that the attachment bond can not only be with the mother, but can also and/or be with the father or a primary caregiver. Why is the bond so important? The bond is so important because we're wired like that for human beings. We're wired to be connected. Why? Because the infant needs to feel safe, to be loved, to be acknowledged, and to be validated. So how does this work? And look at the hands, if you would, in the slide. And that is the parental hands. That is the mother or the father, the caregiver. And so the little baby, the infant, starts to move away from the parents very incrementally. So maybe if you remember, they hang on to your knee, they try walking, and then they come right back to you. Maybe they make it as far as a coffee table or a chair, and then they come right back to you. So they're exploring, they're moving away. Remember, they're individuating, we call it, but always with that safety and security of going back for the love, the comfort, and the approval. We encourage them, good job, nice work, big hug when you return. Now they start to get a little bit older, and you know we create play dates, and they go to grandparents' house, and then they go to little camps maybe, and then they go to school. And at the end of it, guess what? They come back. Mm-hmm. They know we're here, the security, we're the base camp, and again, they come back for that attachment, and they feel the love, the security, and again, we encourage, well done, you did good. Now it's time for high school, and ironically, here we've been kind of encouraging their independence to the extent that we bring them back, provide security of love. And if you remember the high school days, it seems like they're away from us and out and about more than they are with us. That's normal. They're preparing to grow up. They're preparing to become their own person. They're also preparing to leave home, which you all have just experienced. So when the college student, as you can see in the graph, the college student goes away, this is very different because the college student isn't coming home at the end of the day for your welcome, for your approval. Now you're still there, you're there via text, you're there via email, and certainly by phone or Skype, however you stay in touch. But the college students having the same concerns, can I do this? Am I safe? There's also a more existential level, and that is, am I still a child? Is childhood over? I'm an adult. And they're also thinking, is it going to be the same with you? Is it going to be the same with mom and dad? Are they still going to be there for me? So this is the theory that we're looking at, and this is a theory that we all operate out of in terms of your parenting style right now and our work in terms of facilitating these young adults toward independence. So what can you do? You can understand that they still very much need what? The welcome. They very much need your sense of approval and your sense of encouraging that they can do this. That uncomfortability, that homesickness, that kind of, I'm not sure that I can do it, is normal, but that you believe in them. Here's what can interrupt this process. If you, although well-meaning and loving your son or daughter, in any way interrupts that process, sends them the message, maybe I better step in and talk to your professor. Maybe I better step in and talk to your roommate. Maybe I better step in and tell Residence Life or the Dean of Students that you shouldn't have any upsetness in your life. Again, why would a parent do that? Because you love them that much. But what it does is it gyps our young adult from working through the uncomfortability, the difficult time. So at the end of it, they've learned a coping skill. They have a new attitude that I can get through this. And again, they build the confidence in themselves. That it might not be what I want. Maybe I kind of failed, but that doesn't mean I'm a failure. And that I can believe in myself. I can navigate my life Mostly. They still need you, but mostly at this time. That's where we're coming from. Now, mostly, what we see is the initial week, 2, 3 weeks, where some of this uncomfortability, homesickness, transitional issues might manifest. But we're about to see another uptick in that. Because while they might make some acquaintances, they might not be sustainable. And what we're going to see after they come back from Columbus Day weekend, it's going to get harder academically. And so with more stress, they might have more uncomfortability, and we might see their anxiety heightened, and they might be a little bit more dependent on you. You may hear more remarks, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if this is the place for me, I feel overwhelmed, and of course that tugs at you. But believe me, the support and the resources are here for your sons and daughters. So that's it kind of theoretically. That's kind of what we have at Fairfield to support this developmental phase of life. And what we encourage you to do is to partner with us in facilitating the development of a healthy, independent, fully functioning young man or woman. We're going to continue going, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about our services, and then Kamala and I are going to work together. I've mentioned the Office of Student Engagement, which Kamala heads up with a wonderful staff of very caring, trained professionals. I've mentioned Residence Life. These are administrators, area coordinators, and RAs who are in the residence halls. We also have wonderful programming support for our commuter students. A couple of key areas that are great for our students to utilize is counseling and psychological services. We have 10 clinical members of our staff. We have 2 psychiatrists. We have a psychiatric APRN. Our first line of treatment is not to provide medication, but many of our students have already come to campus on some medication for anxiety, depression, bipolar, and if they want to transfer their care to campus, we certainly can make that happen. 18 to 20, 21, 22 is also a time where these mood disorders, again, this anxiety and depression, can manifest. So we have wonderful staff, wonderful doctors who can diagnose and treat. These are very treatable, and we work very closely with our doctors and provide really quality services. Most of the work we do is individual one-on-one counseling. We also do wonderful groups, and specifically for freshmen, we have a transition group. It's twofold. Not only are they getting some really good strategies on how to transition and adjust, but they meet one another, and that's very beneficial. We run workshops. We work closely with engagement, residence life, so there's good opportunities for us, meaning counseling, to be very available and supportive for students who might be struggling with adjustment issues. The Student Health Center, they have been so busy since school started. This is the good news because our students, especially our freshmen, are already engaging in that help-seeking behavior. Maybe I have an infection, maybe I have a sore throat, maybe I'm not sleeping well. And they go to the Student Health Center, and the Student Health Center not only has nurse practitioners, but a medical doctor there twice a week, and a staff of RNs, and these professionals deal with college student health issues. They're top of the line. You can walk in, you can have your son or daughter walk in during the day, and it's for any kind of injury or illness. Additionally, we're trying to be very proactive and preventative. We're running flu clinics on campus because we sure don't want our students and our faculty and staff to struggle with the flu. So those are great resources on our campus, and I encourage you to encourage your son or daughter to, again, engage in help-seeking behavior and utilize these resources.
Thanks, Sue. In addition to the resources that Sue mentioned, we also have our first-year students currently going through the first-year experience program. And as I mentioned at orientation or at fall welcome, the first-year experience program is a program where our first-year students meet weekly. They have a new student leader that's assigned to them, and the ratio is about 1 to 18 to 20. There's also a faculty and staff member known as a community associate that also meets with them weekly in a seminar form. The weekly seminars cover transitional issues such as alcohol, hookup culture, time management. We talk about homesickness. Currently this week, we're having every single one of our first-year students complete a mid-semester online reflection where we actually have them share with us what are some of the challenges they've experienced, what are the ways they've grown, what have they learned so far about themselves. And the CA and the NSL, New Student Leader, review those weekly, those mid-semester reflections. And if there are any concerns with a student, we actually reach out to them and engage, either go on a coffee date with them, talk with them one-on-one, and we make sure that they're receiving the necessary resources. In addition to that, our friends in Academic and Career Development Center is currently conducting academic alerts. So all first-year faculty members receive an email from the center asking if there are any concerns with first-year students in their academic classes. When they receive those alerts, our friends in Academic Affairs will reach out to the student via the faculty member, or they themselves would reach out to the students and check in and make sure that they're receiving the appropriate resources. Our Friends in Residence Life, as we mentioned earlier at orientation and fall welcome, every single first-year building has an area coordinator who is a live-in professional staff member. There's also a resident assistant on the floor with them that conduct weekly events, weekly staff meeting, as well as there's a resident Jesuit. In addition to our residences on campus, we also have a vibrant commuter student population, and there is a commuter student. There are actually 2 commuter pair assistants that schedule one-on-one times with each commuter student that's a first-year student. They just renovated the lounge as well, and they do appropriate programming for them to help with their transitional issues. The Dean of Students Office is a tremendous resource. We consider them our catch-all. When in doubt, we say call the Dean of Students office at 203-254-4211. Any concerns that you have relating to your student engagement or student adjustment, feel free to reach out to them. They will triage appropriately to either Sue's office, my office, Residence Life, or academic support and retention. They also manage case management. We have a case management team that meets consistently to talk about key students that are of concern, and then we bring it before case management and we ensure that they're getting the necessary support. Department of Public Safety is another key resource as well. They're open 24/7 every day of the year. They are reached at 203-254-4090. So again, after hours when the Dean of Students office is not open, if there are critical concerns or urgent concerns pertaining to your student, please reach out to the Department of Public Safety. We have an area coordinator on call as well as a counselor on call as needed. In addition to that, we have created a wonderful parent and guardian guide, which can be found at Fairfield/orientation, www.fairfield/orientation. And you want to click on the post-orientation website. There is a parent guide that has comprehensive resources available for you all to work with your student. Sue mentioned our Office of Student Engagement, which I'm particularly proud of. We have a wonderful team of professional staff members that are working tirelessly to ensure that the students are having an enjoyable and welcoming experience here at the university. Our office is located in the Barone Campus Center lower level, and our phone number and email address is right there on the screen. Engagement@fairfield.edu is an email resource account that you can email us if there are any concerns with your first-year student. The Office of Residence Life is also located in the same area as the Office of Student Engagement, and you can reach them at residencelife@fairfield.edu. They, again, if there are any concerns around conflict or transition, the RA can reach out to them, the area coordinator can reach out to them. They're a wonderful resource. And our friends in the Kelly Center, this is a newly designed center to help support our students. Their new title is Academic and Career Development, and they're located in the Kelly Center, and their phone number is 203-254-4081. Couple of upcoming events, because we believe that one of the ways that our students transition effectively is by engaging in the campus community and getting involved. We preach it every day as much as possible, but we definitely want our students to get involved and be engaged at the university. The Activities Fair, which just happened, I believe, 2 weeks ago, was a success. We had over 2,000 students attend the Activities Fair and join many clubs. All of our events so far have been extremely well attended. We're seeing high levels of engagement by our students at our events. Fresh Check Day, and I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about Fresh Check Day and how that event went.
Yeah, it went really well. We had over 700 students attend this fair-like event. It's almost like it's lots of booths, kind of a carnival. setting, but it's intended to raise awareness about mental health issues and, importantly, suicide prevention. We feel we want to get out in front of that issue, and we want students not only to have a heightened awareness about it, but importantly to know the resources and how they can help a friend or if they're feeling suicidal.
Thanks, Sue. In addition, upcoming fall break is this weekend. Our students have Monday and Tuesday off from campus. The university is closed on Monday. There are services occurring on Monday, and every single student will receive an email about the services that are occurring this weekend, and we do have a few events going on as well. Alumni Family Weekend is, I'm particularly excited about this weekend. I think is our best event lineup forever since I've been working with that weekend. Colleen Wilson, who is our assistant director in our office, has created a wonderful weekend for us. October 21st and 23rd, I really recommend that you check out the event, fairfield.edu/AFW. We really want to get many of our families here on campus, and please check it out. There are some tickets available that you have to purchase, and there are some tickets that you have to reserve. They're free, but you have to reserve as soon as possible because there is limited space available. The Weekender is a wonderful resource that our office put together. The Weekender, every Thursday, our students get an email from our office with key events occurring on the weekend, especially late night events. Some of the events that are going on are Southside Cafe. Liz, who's in the background, runs the Southside Cafe, and she's been averaging close to 200, 150 or so students whenever Southside Cafe is open, which is once a month. We also have Fairfield Flicks, which is every Friday. We show a movie, a recent movie going on, and we've been averaging wonderful numbers at those events. Late Night at Barone, the bingo series. For some reason, our college students love a good bingo night. Shuttles and shopping are occurring as well. And if you yourself want to see what events are going on campus, the website is right there. It's fairfield.orgsync.com. You're welcome to pop online, take a look at the events that are going on so that you know that the opportunities that your students have to participate in. I think at this time, we're going to open it up to questions, and Liz, you're going to begin hearing Liz's voice in the background fielding us some questions.
Okay, so the first question we have, my daughter wants to come home this long weekend, but I want her to stay at school. Do you have any suggestions?
I think, Kamala, let's answer this together. Sure. I believe that most of our students will be going home for the long weekend. It's just kind of the first punctuation of getting home and reconnecting with your high school friends and neighborhood friends and being back in your own bed. I don't know if we have a lot of programming going on.
There's limited programming going on this weekend. There are some, but I would agree with Sue. I think this is one of those weekends, and I know you hear us preach to you saying, hey, try to avoid your student going home, but I think this is one of those weekends where we actually agree that this is a good weekend to come home and reconnect with the family. Again, I think it's a good breather. You all are welcome again for Alumni Family Weekend to come and see them in about 2 weeks. But I think this is okay. You know,
we also find that when they come back, they're looking forward to coming back often. So it's the first time away and the first time coming back, which can be positive.
Yeah. Good question.
The next question, we live far away and my child isn't able to come home frequently. Does the university have any specific resources for her?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the resources. If a student lives far away, Office of Residence Life is able to work with them to make sure that it can stay on campus. We do have Residence Life support on campus during extended breaks, as well as there are events that do go on, especially this weekend. I know there's limited, but there are events, and Residence Life will be hosting some events as well. So those are some of the resources. There's also, depending on how far away they live, there's a long way from home support group. It's actually not a support group, it's a community group that Jeff Holmberg from Admissions runs. And so there is a club that they can join as well to connect with other people who are a long way from home, who may be in a similar circumstance, especially for extended breaks. I hope I answered your question. If there are further follow-up questions, we're happy to answer those.
Okay, great. Is there a normal amount that students should call home, and is there a normal amount that I should call my child?
Recently, I was leaving my office at lunchtime, and I was walking along, and a student, a young woman, was on the phone with, obviously, her mom or her dad, and she was reporting in detail what she had for lunch, what the questions were on the quiz, what she was going to do for the next 4 hours and when they would talk again. Now, I didn't think much of it, except that she was standing there with another friend, another young woman, and when she got off the phone, she said, "It's so much work talking to my mother," or father, I forget, my parent.
Yeah.
And what I was aware of was sometimes the young adult is adjusting fairly well, but they love you so much and they feel that they have to stay in touch for your sake. And so I think it's very important that it comes from your son or daughter. In other words, the frequency, the duration, just to stay in touch and ask the mundane, whether or not she put peas and cucumbers on her salad doesn't seem very beneficial. However, maybe if she was struggling and she did want to vent and you did want to reassure, that might have great value. So I don't think there's a rule of thumb, but I do think in order to remember the two hands, in order to launch and believe in them, you have to let them go forth and at least be able to do, can they do a day without you? You know, you might want to ask yourself that. Again, no hard and fast rule, except that are you facilitating their independence rather than their dependence on you?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think that's an excellent point that you're making, Sue. I know till this day I call my parents every day and I initiate that connection with them. And I want to underscore that we want a partnership with you. We recognize that many of our students use you as their mentor and coaches. You're your number one. For many of them, you're the number one person that they go to for advice. And we want to ensure that you're empowering them to seek the right resources, which is one of the reasons why we do a webinar like this, to ensure that you are aware of the resources available on campus.
Great. We have a question about the flu shot clinics. When are they open for students to come in?
We've already had one. We had one last week, and there's 2 more scheduled. I don't have the dates off the top of my head, but if you go to the Student Health Center webpage, they are listed right on the landing page. That's the front page of the Student Health Center webpage. So by all means, check into that.
Great. One parent asked if they have access to the academic alerts that are being sent out.
No, actually, you don't have access to it. If you're seeking access to the student academic record, there is a separate process for how a parent can receive access to that record, and that's usually through an academic waiver, which can be requested, because I think we share this at Orientation Fall Welcome. The academic record now belongs to the student, and the only way that our families can access it is if the student waives their right and provides the access to the parent.
Great. 2 more. We live in Dallas, Texas, and didn't realize that everybody goes home for fall break. Are the dorms going to be closed? What is our son supposed to do?
Sure. The residence hall are open during fall break. There are activities, and again, limited, and I think we will partner more with Residence Life to see what other events are going on. But your son or daughter, your son, Liz, was it? Well, your
Son,
student
I
will be
believe.
receiving an email shortly with all the services that are open and available. Shuttle services are occurring, dining will be occurring, and again, there are some events going on, and the residence hall are open. Staffing, there will be staffing presence across campus as well.
Great. And the last one, my daughter is in a varsity sport and cannot come home as she needs to stay for practice.
Yes, and they'll probably keep her pretty busy in terms of her sport over in athletics. So she will have a group, she will have her team, and she will be pretty programmed if they're going to remain on campus. Again, as Kamala mentioned, there will be resources, albeit limited, but this is another opportunity for a student to kind of figure out, what can I do? How do I maybe meet a new person?
Yeah.
How can I expand a little bit? And so your encouragement of them that they can do this, they can expand, find resources, find other people, is just a great opportunity, again, for them to work through any uncomfortability and develop confidence in themselves.
Sorry, one more question. Both kind of relates to transportation. One is relating to shuttle services to the ferry, and then one question asking how can our son get to LaGuardia for Thanksgiving? Is there a shuttle to that airport at
Yeah,
Thanksgiving
so
time?
there, I will need to look up more closely. The shuttle services are occurring this particular weekend. I do know there are shuttle services occurring, and I will circle back with you all on the services. I think we have all of your email addresses for those who signed up for the webinar, so we'll make sure we get that information out. In regards to LaGuardia for Thanksgiving break, FUSA, which is our Student Government Association, partnered with our transportation office to offer shuttles during Thanksgiving break as well as the holiday December break period. So more information will be coming regarding shuttle services for our students around those key breaks.
Kamala, I'm not sure about, maybe you know this, about a shuttle to the ferry, to the Port Jefferson ferry. I don't think that our shuttle goes that way. I think what our students do is they get to the train station and take a very short trip on the train, on Metro North to Bridgeport, and then
From there.
the ferry station is very close to the Bridgeport station. So I think that's how that plays out. We have a lot of students using the Port Jeff ferry.
Yeah. And we can send out some more information around that
Great.
after the webinar. Good question.
Those were all the questions.
Great.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to seeing you all at Alumni Family Weekend. Have a great holiday, fall break, I should
Fall
say.
break,
Fall break.
yes.
Yep.